Precise Plan 576 and CUP 1925 McDonald's Restaurant. Petition submitted by Design UA to construct a new 4,000 square feet building with a double drive-through for a new McDonald's restaurant located at the northeast corner of Magnolia Street and Talbot Avenue in the Village Center Shopping Center. This item is categorically exempt pursuant to CEQA Guidelines 15303. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Tonight before you is Precise Plan 576 and CUP 1925 for a proposed McDonald's facility at 17970 Magnolia Street in the Village Center Shopping Center adjacent to the Sprouts Market. Let me go back to this for a slide. UA Designs is proposing a new 3,850 square foot building with a double drive-through, which is currently developed as two end tenants in the shopping center, formerly the Beach Cities Dog Daycare and a martial arts studio. Both are proposed to be demolished for this project. The proposed McDonald's is located in the southeast corner of the shopping center. And Dutch Brothers was recently approved by the Planning Commission and is currently under construction for their drive-through business as shown on the site plan. According to the applicant, this McDonald's is meant to handle some of the customer load from the two existing McDonald's in the area, including the two in Fountain Valley. Here's the site plan for the proposed McDonald's. The project meets all of our development standards outlined in our development code, including site coverage, setbacks, floor area ratio, parking, building height, and landscaping as detailed in the staff report. Under the Fountain Valley zoning regulations, drive-throughs are required to be designed to have a queuing lane of not less than 150 feet and sufficient space before the menu board to accommodate at least 4 waiting vehicles. As shown on the applicant's queuing analysis in your staff report, the drive-through lane measures 173 feet from the interior and 189 on the exterior, meeting that code requirement. The double drive-through as proposed would have 2 ordering kiosks with sufficient space behind those positions for 4 vehicles for a total of 6 vehicles. Any drive-through backup that may be experienced will occur on-site in the parking lot in front of the McDonald's right here, as I'll explain later. Right here, the drive-through service alley on the east side is proposed to be modified right here with a pork chop that will prevent incoming traffic from the alley right here on the east side and traffic coming off of Talbot this way. The proposed drive-through lane will come in here, it wraps around on the north side. Vehicles will exit out towards the west into the shopping center parking lot. The drive-through queuing capacity is a total of 10 vehicles. And the queuing study prepared by the applicant analyzed 4 other McDonald's throughout Southern California. And their observed vehicle queue lengths range from 7 vehicles to 15 vehicles, where the 15 vehicles observed was at the McDonald's at Brookhurst and Garfield in Fountain Valley during the time of 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So this proposed drive-through design will provide queuing capacity of 10 vehicles in this drive-through right here. Should, again, 10 vehicles be exceeded, the queue will back up on-site into the parking lot, not affecting traffic on Talbot or this service alley over here. So this pork chop designed right here is a triangular little raised curb that will prevent cars from coming in over here and force traffic to make a right turn only and back onto Talbot. Public Works has also proposed that, it's not on this diagram, but to Public Works has proposed, they proposed the pork chop and a modification to this island right here to create a triangular piece to prevent cars that would try to force themselves to come into the drive-through from the service alley, that much more difficult based on the design of the curbing right there. Staff worked with the applicant's team on this design and development of the drive-through. due to the proximity to the residential to the east right here. The closest drive-through speaker located right here is 58 feet from this house on Bay Street, and it's 58 feet to the property line wall from the speaker and 76 feet from the speaker to the edge of the house. An existing 6-foot wall separates the shopping center from the service alley from these single-family homes on the east side and the north side of the shopping center. So with this anticipated noise from the drive-through, such as idling vehicles and the ordering speaker, staff worked with the applicant on proposing an additional wall along the drive-through adjacent to the service alley as a noise barrier. And that proposed wall will start here in the landscape planter and extend to the north up here. The wall totals 74 feet, located in a 5-foot landscape planter between the drive-through and the service alley. The wall will be constructed in staggered sections, starting at 4 feet here, going to 6 feet, and going to 8 feet in these 3 sections. So the zoning code requires the 6-foot wall adjacent to residential with a minimum setback of 5 feet with a landscape planter. As proposed, the new wall, which is right here on this elevation, is over 40 feet away from the residential on the east. These are the proposed elevations for the McDonald's, sticking with their new modern contemporary design. The stacked stone at the base will match the shopping center and the newly remodeled Sprouts and Dutch Brothers building. This sign right here was proposed to be illuminated. However, we've created a condition of approval that this sign be not illuminated after dusk, and they would be able to put a photocell timer on that to regulate that. Here's the proposed floor plan. Entrance over here, customer area here, ordering kiosks here like you've seen in new McDonald's that have gone to that system, and 2 pickup windows in the drive-through and the ordering, or the pay station right here. So the Village Center has recently seen development activity with the approval of the Sprouts Market back in July of 2021 and the approval of Dutch Brothers drive-through in March of this year. Because of this activity early on in the application process, staff suggested that the applicant reach out to the adjacent residents behind the Village Center, informing them of the project. This intent was to give the neighbors a notice much earlier than what is required for notification for public hearings by the city, which is 10 days before that hearing. The applicant's team mailed notices out to residents along Bay Street, Talbot Avenue, LeGrand Circle, informing them of 2 community engagement meetings that they held on August 30th and September 13th of this year, at which time residents provided comments on the project. And the applicant documented the neighbors' concerns and listed them along with their responses to those comments in attachment number 7 of the report. Staff has included conditions of approval, should you wish to approve the project, that can address the concerns about the following issues: drive-through speaker noise, vehicle noise from the speakers and the vehicles in the drive-through, traffic on Talbot, food smells coming from the business, exterior lighting, views of the rooftop equipment and the size of the building, security for the restaurant, and deliveries. As previously mentioned, staff worked with the applicant to amend the plans to incorporate certain changes to offset potential impacts. These include an addition of the wall adjacent to the drive-through lanes to create the barrier, the pork chop design to ensure that queuing lanes do not extend into the shared drive aisle and the street, and technology that allows the drive-through speaker volume to be adjusted. This concludes staff's report, and please feel free to ask me any questions. The applicant and their team are also present tonight to answer any questions you may have. And I'd like to address the red folder items. The 2 changes to the red folder items include 2 changes to the staff report. regarding the number of required parking stalls for the shopping center and a reference to the martial arts business, tenant space being included in the demolition square footage. And condition number 78 and 79 are to reflect the pork chop and the drive aisle next to the service alley. And lastly, the applicant is asked to modify condition number 46 to mirror number 45 with regards to verified complaints and the director's ability to modify the condition of approval. That concludes staff's report.
So can you go back to the?
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you go back to the picture?
To which page?
The picture of with the drive-through and everything there.
Okay.
So the traffic study, there's parking lots or parking spots in front, both sides of the drive-through, right? Above and below it, basically, and you're looking at that?
There's parking here
Right.
and here.
Okay. So it'll be interesting if it gets busy, people trying to get in and out of those parking spots.
I have a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the martial arts and the dog camp building will be demolished.
That's correct.
Will that be demolished regardless of what's going, or is it because of the McDonald's?
To my thought is it's because of the McDonald's.
McDonald's, okay. And then what's the exact hours of operation of the McDonald's?
For McDonald's, 24 hours.
Oh, it's 24 hours.
Yes.
And are the other two McDonald's in Fountain Valley 24-hour McDonald's?
I don't believe so.
They're not. I actually saw the 24 hours and kind of was shocked.
Nope.
So I actually went online and looked at McDonald's and Carl's Jr. and basically, fast foods around the city and Huntington Beach. And I did not find a single 24-hour. So of any of the brands. So, I think that would be the first thing we want to talk about is the hours of operation.
I now have a third question. Do you know what the hours are for the Dutch Brothers?
I believe their drive-through. I would have to check. Let me get back to you.
Thank you.
But I think it stops at 9 or 10.
I think it's 9.
It's not 24 hours.
No, I think it's 9. Might be 10.
Okay.
We could look at what the hours are.
Any more questions to the staff? So we have,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the traffic plan, the queuing line and everything, did you consider a one-way traffic through the little parking lot instead of two-way traffic? Because
one way here.
One way, yeah. That you come in. There's only one way into the parking lot, right? Because you can't get in from the right-hand side, correct? Because you put the pork chop.
Yes, we modified it to limit ingress here. Correct.
Right. So the only way in is
here.
from the left.
Yes.
And so the problem that I see is that, once you start queuing, and of course you're going to block off the parking spots, but my concern is then the only way out really is going to be to the left, the way the big arrows are pointing. Now it does show traffic. It shows the cars, the red line, right, going out the driveway on the right.
Yeah.
Okay, but if there's a queue, you won't be able to get there. And the concern I have is that, and I'm sure some people may talk about this tonight, but the reality is the high schoolers are going to be coming here. Okay? And so the high schoolers, when they leave, they need to go back to the high school, which is a left-hand turn. And the only way out, and that's probably going to, and it seems like that's going to be the most busy time, because that's what you said it was from 11
That
to
queue
whatever, the
analysis
queue.
from 11 to 1.
And now we got high school drivers. And so, one advantage of, the thing is, with that parking lot right now, is people, and Talbot is very busy these days, extremely busy. And once you start adding Dutch Brothers, who knows, okay? So the thing is right now, when Talbert is very busy, instead of making a left-hand turn out of the driveway on the left on your drawing, people go through this parking lot right now where the dog camp is, and they come out that right-hand driveway. They make a right-hand turn because then they can go to the little turnout and make a U-turn. That's what everybody, yeah, okay. So the thing is, the way this, if you have a queue line in there, it's going to be impossible to exit that driveway on the right. And actually I know of another, there's a McDonald's in Huntington Beach off of Edinger that has one-way traffic through their parking lot like this. And then what you could do is you could put the queue line, the way they have it at that McDonald's is the queue line would be, it would still be 2 lanes, like it's shown here, but instead of 2-way, it's 1-way. And then the queue line would be closer to the McDonald's building. Now you'd have to probably chop off a little bit of the curve to get the turning radius to get into the order lanes there. But what that allows you to do then is that opens that clear lane on the right-hand side to allow exit. So basically the queue line right now is on the bottom where all the cars are sitting.
You're referring to right here?
Right there. That's what the little gray circles are, is the queuing line for the drive-through. And then the large arrows pointing to the left is meant to be traffic going to the left.
These arrows?
Those arrows right there, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't know what else those
Well,
arrows
this
are
is
there
a
for.
parking area, and so it's a 2-way drive aisle, so
Right.
people can exit this
Right.
way as well.
But if it was one way, they could also exit out to the right.
If it was one way in,
One way, only one way.
yes,
And
and they would
at
be
Dutch
exiting out
Brothers,
this
that's the
way.
way that parking area is. It's also one way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a huge improvement. And I, my concern here is traffic, high schoolers, left-hand turns, accidents, everything else. So just wondered if that was looked at all.
I don't believe that was thought of during this process. I think would be appropriate to, unless there are other questions for staff, to have the applicant speak and then go to public hearing, and then we can bring it back and have this discussion in greater detail once we hear all the information.
For me to understand, you're talking about left, if somebody leaves the plaza and makes a left-hand turn on Talbert
Commissioner Esker, I believe, is saying on the
to go east,
Yeah, you'll see.
No,
There
I
is
have
a
an
drawing
aerial
in our
here.
packet that shows that left-hand turn out of the.
You can't really turn left there though because the traffic backs up from Magnolia, so it's almost impossible. I was there today. It was almost impossible to turn left because the traffic backs up at that light so far that you can't go left from the one that's
Won't even
close.
be able to make a right.
Yeah, you're going to have to make a right. You're almost going to have to make a right-hand turn and go right and around. I mean, I tried to make a left today and it was impossible.
What time was that at? Just out of curiosity.
I was there at 3:30, 4 o'clock today. But you just get enough traffic at that light right there that if it backs up far enough, the only way you can go is right unless somebody stops and leaves you an aisleway that you can creep across. And then the problem is you're trying to go across 2 lanes of traffic, plus be able to get into the other side of the street right there.
If I may, sir, if we can have the applicant speak and then
Yeah.
bring the public in so that we can consider all testimony before we have a discussion,
absolutely.
that'd be appropriate.
So, are these people listed here on Zoom or they are blue card?
I'm sorry?
First, you got
The
that.
people listed on the iPad,
The people listed on the, okay,
they are all blue card.
yeah. So we'll have the applicant speak and then we'll call up the public.
So
Planning
let's
Commissioners,
let's
sorry.
close the staff report now. I assume.
I appreciate you guys having me. This is Todd Huber. I'm with Paragon Commercial Group. We've been the owner since August of 2021, so that includes what Matt was talking about in terms of bringing Sprouts to the property, the reinvestment in the kind of the facade and the parking lot, and now the Dutch Brothers parking lot, and this obviously very important project to bring McDonald's in to stabilize that area of the center. We've got the full team of technical experts here. I'm obviously here. We really appreciate your consideration. Troy Stevenson with McDonald's is here alongside with me. We were all at the community meetings we had right outside of where Beach City's dog camp is, and met a lot of our neighbors. A lot of neighbors have my cell phone. They know me. We've tried to be really good neighbors, and before this project and then as part of this project to make sure we keep Village Center is one of the best centers in Fountain Valley, like it's been for 40 years and hopefully for the next 40. So we're here for any questions. Troy, I'll let Troy introduce
So you represent the plaza owners?
We're the owner, yeah. And I know there's confusion because there's a change in entity name, but we've been the owner since 21, so I wanted to make sure that you guys knew when we bought it.
And the gentleman represents McDonald's, right?
Yes, Troy Stevenson, thank you for the opportunity to present the project. What we'd like to emphasize is McDonald's takes a stand in their communities. We try to be an excellent community partner. We also believe in giving back through various methods, whether it be the Ronald McDonald House Charities or investing in local teams, et cetera. One of the things I would like to say is working with both the citizens, with Todd, with the Planning Commission, I believe that we have developed a site plan as well as a design that will benefit both the community and the area at large. I would like to emphasize a couple of items. The anticipated queuing for the drive-through is never expected to be more than 8 or top out at 12. So the other thing that I would like to say is the average delivery time for an order from the placement of order to actually picking it up is less than 2 minutes on average. That allows us to process drive-through queuing extremely efficiently. If you look at us compared to a Chick-fil-A or an In-N-Out, we exceed their drive-through standards 5 times. And we're very proud of the efficiency with which we do so. I would like to say also that we did make concessions with regard to the drive-through wall, with regard to the elevations of the building and such. And we do believe this is the best design for this facility, and we think it'll be a benefit. So thank you for your time.
When you mention queue line,
Yes.
where on the plan you mention, if it's from the order kiosk to the window or from the entrance to the property to the order line? What queue you are talking about?
It's the queue, it's the cars that are in order from the order point back, so that's the 6, and then you have space for another 3 and 4 going forward. And so in between the pay and present window, you also have another full car. So you essentially have 3 cars there, and then you have 2 going back to the actual order point.
Okay.
And we call that the merge point, where the 2 cars come into one, and then you actually go into the single lane.
So you have 2 order lanes and 1 delivery lane.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
The one thing that you will notice is we do have 3 drive-through windows here. We have a pay, a present, and what we call a pull forward. If an order is taking longer than it normally should, if it's of excessive size or something, what we do is we pull that forward to the 3rd window to improve the efficiency. And you can see at the exit of the drive-through, there's actually a bypass lane. And that's to allow just a normal flow of traffic.
And is this a corporate or a franchise?
It will be a franchise location.
Franchise location.
Can I ask you a question on sales? What percentage of sales is drive-through compared to walk-in?
It averages between 72 and 78%.
Drive-through?
Is drive-through. And that also includes digital pickup as well. And those drivers do not go through the drive-through. They go into the restaurant to pick those orders up. They actually, in some cases, now represent 12% of our orders. It's obviously after COVID, we saw a sharp increase, and it hasn't decreased. It's a convenience.
Would that be the same for like Uber Eats? Would they be the same thing?
Uber Eats, DoorDash, yes, all of those companies.
How did you determine the 8 to 12 for the maximum queuing when the Garfield and Brookhurst you said was 15?
Yeah, it's based on the traffic flow, the volume projections, and
the consideration of a high school
yes, is
next door?
in that.
And you
yes.
think, so that's going to be less than at Brookhurst and Garfield, where there's no high school nearby?
In the drive-through, yes. A lot of that you'll see will be pedestrian traffic.
The kids don't have time to, they're not going to have time to walk, from the high school. It's not close enough to walk there, get their food, and get back. So it's going to be probably a car full of kids coming and going through the drive-through. So did you? I mean, I know you look at it kind of, at the site, but we know the area. We know how close the high school is.
Yeah, I can ask our traffic engineer
Okay.
to discuss that.
So I'm sorry. Yeah, my question would be, I don't know if there's a way to pull up the site plan that has everything. I'm going to go back to it.
It's on the screen currently.
My question would be, how does this coexist with?
Oh, there you go. I'm sorry.
And that might be the traffic engineer's question, but how does this coexist with the Dutch Brothers, the Chevron, the ATM, Bank of America ATM? And then also at some point Sprouts is going to pick up, right? How do they coexist traffic-wise?
That I would have to defer to the traffic.
Yeah, so maybe we can table that and ask them.
Can we bring your traffic engineer, please?
Yes.
Hello, good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Robert Vu. I'm a licensed traffic engineer in the state of California. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah. Did you get the question?
Yeah, my question was, how does the McDonald's coexist with the B of A drive-through, the Chevron, the Dutch Brothers, and at some point the Sprouts will increase in capacity?
Yes, we, as traffic engineers in the state of California, we utilize trip generation rates published in the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual, and that surveys existing fast food restaurants, for example, with drive-throughs, and a lot of those fast food restaurants are contained within other retail uses, so those are captured in a lot of the rates that are published.
So you just go to a table in a standards that is countrywide and doesn't take into consideration. I mean, does it separate California versus other states? Does it consider location next to a high school? What I'm assuming those are pretty generalized averages.
Yeah, it's average over the nation, so a lot of different states, and the way the manual separates, I guess, types of settings, it's suburban, rural, urban, and in this case, this falls under suburban, which suburban settings contain multiple different uses. So it counts for residents, schools, other retail, for example.
And you factored in the 405 freeways entrances are basically on Talbert and Magnolia?
Yes, a lot of these retail uses are located in adjacent to large arterials, and those account for tens of thousands of volumes.
Okay.
So is that where the 8 to 12 came from then? Is from this one of these books for the queuing, or is that a different? Where'd the 8 to 12 come from?
So we've taken a lot of survey locations in the Southern California, and many restaurants of this size have about 8 to 12 queues. The ones that have larger than 12 vehicles queuing, those can accommodate at least 20 vehicles within the drive-through. And we have plenty of similar-sized McDonald's that have that 8 to 12 range.
But didn't the report say that the one at Brookhurst and Garfield is 15 peak?
The one located on Brookhurst, correct, is 15, and I believe that has a larger drive-through.
Okay,
capacity.
and that one, I mean, that one isn't even near a high school. I mean, there's really not much. I don't know where everybody's coming from because there's no, I don't know, there's no office buildings or.
But it's on a much bigger street. I mean, I kind of wonder how this is kind of a off the grid store almost. Really, it's not like that other place has got fast food places all along down there in a much bigger street. So I think they're going to get a lot of through traffic stopping to get that.
But there's a lot more options there too.
There are, but what Brookhurst is 8 lanes across. A lot of cars going in and out of there.
Okay. Any more questions to the owner?
Yeah, I'd like to understand the reasoning why you would want to go 24 hours.
it's not necessarily that we will operate 24 hours. It's one of the things that we asked for during that thing. The actual individual franchisee will make that decision. And as I think was pointed out earlier, those hours are often restricted by the franchisee. It's a function of the business. And if there's a restriction on that, that can be discussed as well.
I would just be surprised in a neighborhood like this community, that at 24 hours would even be worthwhile, because most of the 24-hour stores I've seen are in busier, more urban areas, and it doesn't seem to fit in this community to have a 24-hour store.
I don't disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, the 24-hour ones are off of freeway entrances and stuff
Yeah.
where people.
Yeah, that makes more sense
Yep.
off of the freeway.
Okay.
Could you tell us if the Planning Commission was interested in approving the project, but with limited hours, what your other stores in the area, what those hours are operating at?
Typically, they close between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. The one thing I would like to note is we have taken off the illumination of the sign at the rear, and you will actually see there's a photometric study that shows there is no light leakage onto the alleyway behind our site. I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
So you have completely eliminated the illumination? I thought he mentioned that it's not going to be illuminated after a certain time, but during the day it is? Because from what I can tell, when you look at the site plan, you're not even going to be able to see that sign
No, it's
at all. So
exactly.
don't light it at all.
And we're fine. We're fine to comply with that. That's no issue at all.
Is the city traffic engineer here? Do we have?
Yes, he is.
How are we doing?
Mr. Chairman, Tamo Galvez, I'm your Deputy Director of Public Works and City Engineer, ex officio City Traffic Engineer. Good
Good
evening.
to see you, Timo.
Good to see you too.
A question regarding the point that our colleague Commissioner raised, the trying to exit, the left exit, make a left turn on Talbot. That's even before McDonald's. Now is a dangerous left turn.
Are you talking,
Yeah,
are you
maybe if
talking,
you do the
No.
the
Yeah,
plot plan
take the arrow to the right. Take the arrow to the right.
to the right here?
Yes, this exit. Some people try to exit and make a left turn on Talbot, going east.
Yes.
That, besides, even before McDonald's, some people try to do that, and it is dangerous. I live in the neighborhood, and I use that plaza often. And what's the possibility of putting a sign right turn only?
Yeah, we on the site,
Yes,
we can certainly look at that.
because the reason is twofold. First is safety. Second is it affects the queue. People who wants to take left turn take more time because they have to clear the traffic on both sides, because there's not much island to park in the middle of Talbot, and so they hold traffic behind them. Even if you want to take right, you cannot do it if somebody is in front of you. So as a potential mitigation to what she raised is if we sign it to make it right turn only, it will not affect the business at all because people still can come in, but just when they exit, it's faster for everyone. Faster for the people on the plaza and faster for people to get in and out. That's just a suggestion. We're not asking for a traffic signal here or electric. I know it's very close to the other signal, the main signal on Magnolia and Talbot, but restricting the traffic exit to a right turn will serve those two purposes: safety and the queuing inside the plaza.
And I think you'd have to do it on both driveways unless we make it one way, because the other driveway is also an exit, so you'd have to make a right turn on both of them, I think. Because the other one's in the no better position.
That one, I think there's
right
a
turn only
median.
anyway?
I think there's a
I
median.
don't think you can exit. Just
Yeah.
so.
Mr. Commissioner, we can certainly look at that and consider that as an option to be implemented there.
Thank you.
So the only concern I have with that is now you're forcing everybody to go right, go to the signal, and make a U-turn at the signal. So then the left turn lane is going to get backed up. I mean, I had a simple suggestion of allowing the traffic to go through the parking lot, exit that second driveway, so that they can get out, make a U-turn, and go back. The other benefit of having, Commissioner Spears mentioned you can't get out of the parking lot because the traffic backs up. Well, that prevents a right-hand turn also. So one benefit of being able to exit that other driveway is it gives you an extra so many feet of maybe the traffic didn't back up that far. And so you can exit out that one and maybe make a right-hand turn and get out.
Usually the traffic doesn't back up as much on the right-hand turn lane as it does on the two that go straight. So normally, if you make a right-hand turn only, you can make that right-hand
Oh, to
turn.
get
There's a
into
window.
and then have to get.
And then
make
you've
a
got to go
right-hand
right.
turn.
But if you try and get it into the other two, or if you want to go left on Magnolia, it's almost hopeless too.
Yeah.
You can't get out there.
So again, the benefit, if you can exit out that other driveway, it gives you time to get in and get over, and also make a U-turn at that.
But that's the
At the
same
little-
situation, though. You're still making a U-turn regardless. Either you got to do it at the light, or you got to do it at right
Yeah,
there.
the benefit of doing it.
It's a short distance, though. It's not that long of a distance. I'm looking at it right here. It's a longer distance to go from that second driveway down to make a U-turn. There's more of an opportunity to do that than just coming out and trying to cut across over and make the U-turn there.
Yeah, but if the cars aren't backed up, you can actually get over. If the traffic is backed up, all I know is, I thought once the freeway bridges were done, that the traffic would get better on Magnolia and Talbert. It hasn't.
Nope.
It hasn't. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, it's only getting worse.
But if you make it one way only, the only people that you're helping really are the people parked in the lot there, right?
Yeah, and anybody from Sprouts or anything else could also go through that parking lot and exit out that driveway.
They could. I mean, I would.
They would have to.
I mean,
cut- they would
everybody
have to-
does it now. Everybody does it today.
If I may interject, we can kind of go back and forth on this subject for a while. I think
Let's start
at the
with
end,
public.
after the public
Okay.
hearing is we go through the public hearing, receive comment. If there's still a concern from the planning commission on circulation and access and those types of things, you may want to provide the applicant some additional time to look at these things. I don't think they can agree to or kind of contemplate these circulation items tonight as we're discussing them. I think they need to go back and, if that's the direction you're going to provide, but I think we need to get through the public hearing and then consider the public testimony before we come to some conclusions. And so I think it'd be appropriate to receive public information, public comment, and then get to that point.
Good.
So if you're okay, I'd like
let's
to
start
call
with the
the first,
public.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Timo.
The hours for Dutch Brothers are 5:30 to 11 p.m. 7 days a week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. The first speaker we have, and I'm going to ask for, make apologies before. I'm going to maybe butcher some of these names, so I apologize. But Merle Yap, I believe. Oh, thank you. I never get these right, so I appreciate it.
There's so many things I've been writing down, but you're talking about the high school. What about the junior high? Those kids walk all around that area, and I could just see people getting hit all the time. And the traffic on Talbert coming from Brookhurst down, unless you put a traffic light there, there's not going to be anyone that can make a left into there, and they'll be backing up traffic all over. Right? I used to live in LA. I moved here to get away from this, okay? I had friends that lived near a Jack in the Box, and the houses there, the noise was horrendous. And then I have friends who live in Westminster, and they put up walls at one of these places. Homeless started living between the walls. I mean, I moved out of LA to get away from that. I don't want it here when I live half a mile away. You're going to need more traffic lights. You're going to need people security, because it's going to turn into a horror. Right now, I can't even get out of my own street, my own track, because of the traffic on Magnolia. And the people come down, and then I'll see an opening, and I'll go out, and then somebody comes to turn thinking they're going onto my street, and they'll make a U-turn. And by the time they're done, I have to wait for more traffic. It's horrendous. And I live near the junior high, so the junior high people in the morning, parents dropping them off. I'm on La Roca, which is that little way that goes to, and those kids on those motorized bicycles.
That's what we should be talking about.
I mean, you're just going to have horrendous traffic accidents, probably fatalities. You just have to, come on. You're going to have to put up streetlights to get in and out. That's the only way I can see it. The junior high kids. The walls, I said that. More traffic lights. I'd like to have one on my corner so I can get out. But, or at least put in a no U-turns at my street so that I can get out. It's incredible. Why did I come here from LA and now this is turning into LA? It is. It's turning into LA. The crime, the traffic. Oh, do I get extra time?
Based on that, you can keep talking for a long time.
Well, I'll leave it at that because I know there's a lot more people that want to talk. But please, think of this.
Broke the clock.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I've been a resident and a homeowner in Fountain Valley for 24 years. I love it. It is a nice place to live. But having a McDonald's in our center is ridiculous. The traffic right now is already so horrendous. We can't even use that Talbot Street to get out. We have to go back and get out on our Slater Street. We cannot get out. And if we do, we have to try to somehow edge our way around and, make a U-turn. Anyway, I regress. But anyway, I think crime is going to be a problem. I mean, you get studies show that fast food restaurants are twice as likely to experience violent crimes when compared to full-service restaurants. You're going to get homeless you got, loitering. We have a really great place where we live, and this center is not the place for a McDonald's. It just is not. And I'm sorry, but you got a lot of slick business people here tonight. But you know what? They could care less about us as residents. Absolutely. We know the area. We know what it can, we know how it works. We've lived here. They probably don't even live here. And it's like they're making decisions for our neighborhood absolutely not. I'm sorry. They can take it to another area, but this center is not conducive to a McDonald's. We don't even know what the traffic is going to be like for the Dutch Brothers thing yet. And we have Sprouts, So anyway, give us a Christmas present early and say no. Deny this, please.
Jim McMillan.
Yeah, I think everything I said has already been covered, but in addition to doing a traffic analysis on Talbot and Magnolia, you better do a traffic analysis on the parking lot because, people going north of Magnolia are going to come in one of three entrances and they're going to go out on Magnolia. People coming in on Talbot are going to decide to go up Magnolia and vice versa. So you got a lot of turns that are already impossible, plus you got a parking lot that's going to have Dutch Brothers in it. It's got Subway, it's got Sprouts, and it's just a prime place for accidents. You're going to have to put a stoplight in the parking lot just to get people out of there. So, and you've already acknowledged the noise problem because you're building noise walls. So you've already acknowledged these things are too close to people living there, okay? And those walls do not absorb noise, they just reflect them. You can hear freeway noise now. It doesn't go away, it just reflects. So I echo it's just the wrong place to put a McDonald's. Put it on a 4-lane highway someplace, but not in that small shopping center.
Chris Bundesen?
Bundesen. Thank you. So first, I'll acknowledge, commissioners, I respect your position. You guys have to make some tough decisions, balance what's best for the city versus what's best for the citizens. And I'll even tip my hat to the Team McDonald's here. It's an American company. It's an American brand. Proud to eat there and wish I'd bought more stock 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But with that, I have some concerns. First, we've already beat traffic pretty much to death. But if you look at the package in Appendix C through F, which I believe are pages 43 through 54, they modeled the queuing times for 4 hours, 7 to 9 a.m., 11 to 1 p.m. There's no evening queue model. So we really aren't getting a full picture of what might be going on traffic-wise as Talbot builds. And we all know Talbot's horrible at the evening rush hour. And if you want more proof, go down to In-N-Out and watch 30 cars back up in their queue. So are we going to get 30? I don't know. But with that, that leads me to my most important point. No one's going to argue that there's cars idling there. The cars are idling, and they're going to off-gas. The exhaust is going to go somewhere. I looked at the entire package. There's no plume model for what might happen with that exhaust. In that document, it says the closest house is 61 feet away. I don't know about you, but me, I don't want my kids or my grandkids playing in the backyard at peak rush hour with exhaust that's coming out of cars constantly going through the drive-through that's 61 feet away. There's got to be some sort of health analysis done before you stamp approved, do some type of plume model and figure out what's going on or what could happen. And it isn't just going to be the 61-foot house. It's going to be the whole track as the wind is predominantly from the west to the east, so it's going to blow the exhaust into the neighborhood. And if you don't do the plume model, it'll do it by itself. But it's going to take 3 or 4, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. But when there's a cluster of illness, whether that be cancer or asthma or God knows what, we'll find out what's going to happen. So I respectfully ask that you plume model. And then I will finish and say, with the utmost respect, it's your duty to protect us, the citizens. Thank you for your time.
Molly McMillan.
Well, we've done the traffic, we've done the exhaust and the health matters. Let's pick on the kids again. Will it be a collection of trash that they leave around? Will they be sitting in their cars, munching on burgers, playing their radios loud? Will they be hanging around the center? And we've already brought up the driving accident type potential happenings. So I'm concerned about that too. And we haven't even started seeing how many people will go through the Dutch Brothers Coffee Shop. Okay, so we have a lot of things to consider before this happens, or hopefully doesn't happen. Thank you.
Maureen.
Thank you. I apologize, I'm not a public speaker. My neighbor couldn't come, and I was the one nominated to come and represent us. So I am not on Bay Street. I am on the street which we call the mamas and papas driving their kids to the high school. I can't get out of my driveway mornings. I have to think, what time should my doctor appointment be? Because can't get out. Now I'm going to have to worry about, let's see, it's lunchtime. Now they're driving to McDonald's through Oak. That's the fastest route if they want to avoid Bouchard. So they come down Oak and they zip over Talbot. I miss the days of Blockbuster, Bruce's Veggies. I could safely walk my dog to that center. And now I'm not going to walk to Rite Aid to get my prescriptions. I wouldn't even feel safe doing that. I love McDonald's. My husband will drink too many fraps. I would venture to say I'd rather see some pickleball courts There. That would be my thought for it's healthier. We need more of them. But I'm with her. I'm going to pick on the kids because I already deal with the kids year after year after year after year after year. And like she said, I think trash, more kids, the scooters, the cars, they're going to speed because their lunch hour's not that long. So they're going to be speeding around, and I'm with them, this little bump, this little turn where we come out and go right and jump into the middle and go do our U-turn. That's my escape pod from Rite Aid. That's how I go if I don't walk to it. And that's going to be, I can't even see driving my car there now, seriously. There's too much traffic there already, just going over to get fish and chips. I mean, and like the gentleman said, all the traffic that's going to feed onto Magnolia now, it's a nightmare. I mean, I love McDonald's. I don't eat a whole lot, but I do like it. And like, we don't know what Dutch Brothers is going to do. My Arizona relative says it's Dutch Bros. I'm supposed to say bros. I love a good cup of coffee, but these other two Fountain Valley McDonald's are not near residences like this. When this was brought to me, I told my neighbor, I said, "You're crazy. There's no way they're putting McDonald's there." And then I come to find out that you're really thinking of this? Really? It's please, I just don't want it. It's not safe. I've already seen one kid on a scooter hit in that parking lot, and we didn't have anything going on. So, all right, I'm done.
Aaron Tran.
Good evening. I just want to say that, like, we haven't even thought of the delivery trucks coming in for, like, the McDonald's or, like, the Chevron unloading the gas. So if there's already, like, congested traffic there, just think of it, like, if there's trucks and then cars involved as well, it's just going to be even way worse. And I have two little sisters where one goes to Tamora, one goes to Fountain Valley High School, and it's already difficult getting out of Bay Street because I live on LeGrand Circle. So, like, it's just, I already have a problem with that, and I don't, support the idea of building a McDonald's instead of, like, maybe a third place for all the students hanging around, Just wanted to say that.
Fusako Takeda.
Hi, good evening. I have a couple comments or questions outside of my time. I want to address things that were spoken about by the gentleman sitting here who were not timed. There were two things. The walls that were mentioned being built to mitigate noise. According to the representative at the South Coast Air Quality Management District, walls only dampen noise. They do nothing for the air quality. The air will go over the fences. And also, traffic, and these, I'm only mentioning these because they're not in my prepared remarks, and I'm just at 3 minutes, a tiny bit over. Okay, traffic is bad on Magnolia and Talbot already. I have to agree with everyone on that. Okay, you can begin my time. My name is Fusako Takeda, and I live on Bay Street behind the Village Shopping Center where a new McDonald's has been proposed. The two proposed drive-up lanes for this restaurant would be very close to backyards on our street. It's impossible to imagine how disruptive a 24-hour McDonald's would be With increased traffic in the neighborhood, cars idling in drive-up lanes, orders shouted into speakers, and lights visible from bedrooms and backyards all night. Add to that air quality concerns. Idle car exhaust from drive-up and food pickup lanes 24 hours a day is bad enough, but those lanes would be next to the Sprouts Market loading dock. Sprouts heavy-duty delivery trucks have a documented history of sitting in the dock with the engine running, sometimes for as long as an hour. On December 4th, 2023, a truck was in the dock from 6:56 a.m. to 8:01 a.m. with the engine running the whole time. Earlier this year, it was reported the EPA has recognized that the health danger from fine particulate matter in truck diesel exhaust is more dangerous than once thought, and stronger emission standards have been proposed. The EPA Administrator, Michael Reagan, has said, fine particulate matter is both deadly and extremely costly. Just as concerning, though, is research from UCLA that also found that fine particles from wear and tear on vehicle tires and brakes appear to be a significant and growing source of particulate pollution. Cars idling in drive-up lanes also stop and go braking. Unhealthy air can't be measured yet at busy McDonald's drive-up lanes that also include dangerous diesel exhaust. All of this, however, totally increases the potential of unsafe air quality for our entire neighborhood. It doesn't help that Sprouts Market was granted a variance by the city for their loading dock to be more than 4 feet closer to homes behind the shopping center than regulations allowed at the time. Also concerning to me is the demolition of existing buildings and proposed new construction. Not addressed in the proposal are mitigation measures for homes affected by toxic cement dust and other debris from demolition, as well as other physical after effects of both demolition and construction work. Finally, McDonald's restaurants are just not built next to single-family home neighborhoods. I'm really not too surprised at this because I believe City Council
Ms. Takeda, your time is
simply
up.
wouldn't approve them over residents' objections. Every neighbor I had
Ms. Takeda.
contact with is opposed to having a busy fast food restaurant.
Ms.
right
Takeda,
next
if
to
you can
their
wrap it
home.
up, please.
Pardon?
Your time is up if you can wrap it up.
Okay. Michelle, would you finish my remarks?
Would you live where you live out? I believe.
So if I can,
Oh,
did you speak it?
I did put my name in
Okay, do I have
on a
that?
card. Michelle Rucker.
Oh, right here.
Okay. So I'm Michelle Rucker. Every neighbor I had contact with, no opposed to having a business fast food restaurant right next to our homes. I'm also submitting petitions to opposition from the residents of all 4 houses immediately adjacent to the proposed McDonald's. There could be other issues to be concerned about that I'm not aware of, but because the ones I've mentioned here, I'm asking that the proposal for the new McDonald's not go forward. Thank you. Okay. Can I use my time? First of all, I just want to thank Todd because we've worked together, Todd Village Center, regarding another issue we had at the beginning of this year. And I appreciate that he has sent emails out to myself and I believe to Sharon regarding the proposal for McDonald's. So we got to go down there and take a look, and we got to, by your help, by kind of spreading the news in our neighborhood. I live on the Grand Circle. My concern has always been the traffic piece coming out of Bay Street onto and making a left-hand turn out of there. And now with all these other businesses which thrive and bring income into our city, I'm also just concerned about, again, what everyone's brought up here, kids, children, traffic, accidents, who's at fault, who's, things like that, in regards to all the development that's happening so quickly in our city, plus the high residency, all that stuff. Let's see, what else? Sorry, guys, I don't have my notes. Yeah, so I think that's it. But homeless, I'm concerned with. I've already seen our new resident homeless gentleman that's now in our area. And I saw him in Huntington Beach, and now he's traveled up to Fountain Valley. And, one thing I want to bring up. Is there a way that within 500 feet of our residents, if it can become more wide a spread of the whole city of Fountain Valley and news being notified about developments? Only because I may not be affected just here, but when I'm driving to other parts of the area, I'm affected still, right? I live in the city. So I think if there's a way we can expand that, or if it needs to be put on a ballot, tell me how to do it, and I'll see if I can do it. Thank you.
John Jerje.
All right, good evening, Commission. Just a few things here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is John Yergi. I moved here in 2010 with my wife and daughter. We were looking at Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley. We picked Fountain Valley because it is a nice place to live. It was a nice residential neighborhoods, good-sized yards. I live on 2nd Street, which is across Talbert, about 3 houses in from that street. I smell the fish place all the time. Well, not so much anymore. But one thing that really hasn't been talked about is the smell. Now, when you're walking by McDonald's and you get that smell, yeah, okay. But 24 hours a day, or even, if it's not 24 hours, all day, every day, the neighbors aren't going to want to smell that in their backyards. But going in, really, it's the traffic. People have talked about that, and it's really not just the I can't get out, which is already getting bad, but it's you're going to have people coming out of there, coming out of the drive-thru with hot coffee, food. They're going to be distracted coming out. That's going to increase the danger to the kids going by on their e-bikes, walking. There's dozens and dozens. I'd recommend, if this even gets considered going further, that a study's done and someone counts how many kids are actually going past that driveway and parking area every day on the way to school. I live that close. I didn't get a notification of this. I just happened to see it in Facebook a couple days ago. So I'm not sure what broke down there. Could have missed it, but I usually don't miss those things. So we already talked about the air pollution issue, the smell, the trash, the noise at night. They talked about the sign. Appreciate making the offer to not light the sign. But at night, there's going to be all headlights in the drive-through for the folks that actually live on Bay there. And I really think that the commission and then city council needs to do a cost-benefit analysis of this, because the benefits are all for the McDonald's Corporation, the franchise owner, the plaza owner, but the costs are increased risks to the residents who live in the neighborhood. And I think, again, as was mentioned, that's part of your job as this commission, is to look out for the residents of Fountain Valley. One thing that wasn't talked about, more employees are going to park as well, most of them probably from out of town. So that's just an additional traffic as well. I like McDonald's, it's just not the right place for it. Thank you.
Sharon Clark.
Hi again. Oh, I know the traffic's been beat to death, but I tried to think of some solutions. I live on La Grande Circle. I've lived there for over 30 years, and I love it. I was thinking if they could put, you know what, Trader Joe's at 5 Points, where they have that drive out, they have that, and you can only drive out. You can't go in any way on the parking lot. Because you talk about Fountain Valley and Fulton, but you've got Courageous, and my kids used to ride their bikes to Tamura too. So we've got a lot more traffic that should, yes. And so I was trying. That's what I thought. I also went to the city engineers and asked them to do a traffic study, which all I saw was a strip on the other side of Bouchard. I know it's too close on Bay Street to put a light, But I was thinking of a light at Oak, because when I pick up my kids from Fountain Valley, I would come down Oak too. So it's a very congested street. And then I asked if we could have when you come out of Bay Street, if you have a keep clear, because I can't even turn left to get into Bay. So and they said they'd have to do a cost study. I'll pay for the paint. But I've seen those on Beach Boulevard and different places, and people do acknowledge them. So if they had to keep that open, that would give us a chance to get out a little easier. So, and also, the other thing I was thinking of is the people who live on Bay Street, you don't know our floor plans, but our bedrooms for our children are all in the back of the house. So they would be the ones that would be hearing, what would you like with your fries, or what sauce do you want? So I have nothing against McDonald's. I spend a lot of money there for my kid, but I don't think 24 hours, and I would beg you to not let them go 24 hours. Thank you.
The resident at 9189 LeGrand Circle.
Oh, that's me.
Okay. Okay. Karen Kahi.
So part of the appeal of living in Fountain Valley is that it feels like our own little town, with our own little locally owned shops and services in this little center. At Magnolia and Talbot, you can fill a prescription, get groceries, take your kid to tutoring, take your dog to be groomed, entertained, boarded, whatever. You can get a chiropractic treatment, and you can get your dry cleaning done. You can also get your eyebrows threaded. You also can get a lot of good food: pizza, Thai, Korean, sandwiches, ice cream, fish and chips. This center has variety. Lots of small local employers who've been there a long time and will lose business with the addition of a drive-through placed right at the edge of their parking lot. Eventually, the presence of a McDonald's is going to cut into these smaller businesses, and this could eventually result in their closures, job loss, driving out the diversity of our community, one of the things that makes us special. The addition of McDonald's will also result in the immediate loss of Beach City Dog Camp. This local business is a great service with an excellent reputation in the community. It brings additional diversity to this little shopping center as well as to our community, much more so than a McDonald's would. Sorry. Take it away, and we'll have to go to HB or Costa Mesa for the same services we once had so close to home. Quoting now from a study conducted by a Texas-based consulting firm called Civic Economics, studies have found that national retail chains, including restaurants in general, pay lower wages and benefits than do locally owned businesses. By that measure and others, it is found that the chains generate fewer positive ripple effects in local economies. They procure less, they bank less, they contribute less, and participate less. As big restaurant chains spread across the country and wipe out local businesses in their wake, America becomes more homogeneous, and the unique character of our individual communities is lost. As we all know, there are 3 nearby McDonald's, all within less than 2.5 miles from this location, and I'm sure you guys all know where they are. Therefore, it doesn't really seem necessary to build another one so close, and certainly not right on top of a residential neighborhood. I really feel for my neighbors on Bay. That's it. Thanks.
Sal Manriquez.
Hello. My wife and I bought our home on Ellisville Circle in 1986. And while we love living in Fountain Valley, we find that the worsening traffic has deteriorated the quality of our life. We've seen a multifold increase in our traffic, particularly on Talbot and Slater. Traffic is so dense in the morning and afternoon commute that we cannot make a left turn from Bay Street to Talbot, nor from a left turn from Juniper to Slater. So we are literally hemmed in. And this is getting worse now with the increased traffic. So I know that part of your job is to plan not only the residential part, but also businesses that are coming into play. And I'd like to voice that the increased businesses that are coming in are decreasing the quality of life for long-term residents like myself. I would share with you that that map needs to be bigger, because part of what's missing from this map is an extension of Bay Street. As you cross Bay Street, there's no sidewalk that goes across the street. There's already jaywalking that goes across through there. That's likely to increase with the McDonald's right there. There are many days that I can't make a right because of what they said before, that traffic going westbound on Talbert blocked. The traffic volume is so great that it extends from the past Bay Street towards Oak, and so I have to wait there many lights. So putting McDonald's at this site is a poor location for McDonald's. It really is not a good site to put a fast food restaurant so close to that intersection for a number of reasons, but particularly the traffic, also the increased risk of accidents. Again, we said that that map really is not showing the biggest part of the problem, which is how this intersection interacts with the rest of the neighborhood. Again, as you walk from this McDonald's towards Fountain Valley High School, they have to cut into the neighborhood. There's no straight walk. There are like pine trees that are going across. That's a problem. And again, we have homeless now. We have jaywalkers going across there. It is hemming us in. We get hemmed in from Slater. We get hemmed in from Talbert. It's a problem. With regards to the traffic issue, the exhaust, that is a real issue. Small particle exhaust increases cardiovascular risk, as well as the increased risk of heart attacks and strokes, as well as the increased risk of autoimmune conditions, which are all on the rise. The people that are most vulnerable are the young and older adults, which are many in the neighborhood. Please vote no for McDonald's in our community.
Lillian Yao.
Again, as a planning commission, you guys have our city, the residents at your best interest. And I also know that you have to work with owners of the business properties, and it's a tough challenge to be an owner of this particular location. I also agree with everybody else. I don't live in this neighborhood. I live at Talbot. I've been over at Talbot and Bouchard, and some of you may remember when there was a Taco Bell at that corner and the amount of traffic and accidents and whatnot that occurred. It's better now that it's not a fast food. I mean, it's not a major fast food because Tropical Smoothie is found throughout the nation. However, it's not like the Taco Bell it was before, but you do see an increase in traffic at the peak hours of the high school, coinciding with the moms, with the students, and then the lunch hour. So we've already talked about the high school drivers and traffic. If this goes forward, 24 hours, I would highly discourage, because the only reason you need to be open for 24 hours is because you've got the people that are hungry after they've gone drinking. And we don't really want to incur those accidents as well. Traffic lights, I'm not sure what the ordinances are. The hospital went in at Brookhurst and Talbot, and there's a street light now at Foster and Talbot so that we can all get out of our neighborhood. If you look at the corner of Adams and Brookhurst, where the Whole Foods shopping center is, there's also a CVS. It's very much like this corner, and there's a traffic light right there in that same parking lot to get out. So that's something else to consider. All right, so let's see. 1, 2, 3. Where's my number 3? Sorry, I've been scribbling notes. 4, covered it. 5, covered it. 6. Oh, yeah. That location just doesn't seem to be the right location for McDonald's. We all know when we want fast food, when we can't decide what fast food we want, we go down to Brookhurst and Garfield. Or we go down to Harbor, right off the freeway. You've got 5 burger places there, including McDonald's. 7, I don't know, something like a pickleball court or a ping pong place. We lost our recreational mini golf, which the high school kids really utilized, and I don't know if Tommy's Burgers is still there. It is. Okay, but something like a ping pong place might be an acceptable alternative as an owner. That's something I would look into. And let's see what else. Smells. I drove down 405 to Harbor, and my windows were up, my air conditioning was on, and I got a waft of, it was Cane's. So to what everybody else is saying about the smells, that's just my experience here. And I'm not at that corner. I'm just as a resident of the city of Fountain Valley. Let's move forward in a positive way that everybody, it's a win-win situation. Thank you.
Zach Duchesne.
Hi, thank you for taking the time. I do live on Bay Street. I live almost kind of behind there. I'm the fifth house in. And if this were to pass or go through or whatever, if you guys vote for it, I would encourage you to do, or the property owner to do, a really good job of policing the truck traffic. That's the biggest problem from my perspective right now, is the trash company and the deliveries for Sprouts and all the different vendors back there that go to that location. They come. I know they're not supposed to come before, I think 7 o'clock, but they're there many times before 7 o'clock, idling. They can also see directly into our yard from their truck because their truck sits up high. So, you know, it's not great, but we knew that when we moved in. And, but no, it wasn't. But they had, Big Lots still had deliveries also, but I think it was maybe less frequent. So, yeah. And now that Sprouts is busier and there's a lot more truck traffic, that would be my biggest concern is to really enforce that 7 o'clock barrier, because that seems to be the magic hour. So I know there's a lot of people that want to speak, so I'll cede my time. Thank you.
Actually, that was the last request I have. Lisa, are there any other requests on Zoom? Okay.
Okay. That closes the public speaking. Sorry. That closes the public speaking. So now discussion of the commission. We'll start from any questions?
Thank you. Yeah, my biggest concern, as I stated earlier, is the coexistence of the Dutch Brothers and the McDonald's. I used to live in Arizona, and I know how busy Dutch Brothers can potentially get. And they're geared toward kids, high school students. And McDonald's somewhat is as well. And I just think that the amount of vehicular traffic going in and out of the center, especially in the points that we already talked about and everybody's already mentioned, but I just think I have a concern about what could potentially happen here, having 2 drive-throughs and the other things I've already mentioned. So I'm not, my opinion, but I'm not 100% on board with the McDonald's here, and especially knowing that when I asked the staff that the martial arts center and the dog camp were going to be removed specifically for McDonald's. Anyway, my opinion.
Can I chime in on that? I think there's a confusion. The building might not go, right? But those tenants, martial arts guy is retired, Beach City's dog camp, we've helped keep, before we owned it, not a viable business there. We kind of helped them get through COVID. We've kept them on. They are not in lease term. They're month to month, and we've kind of kept them on whatever they can pay. We've allowed them to pay. We haven't put them in. So the building might stay. The businesses will not be there.
Yeah. Understood. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Spears?
I did have a question about, so how many employees are on a shift traditionally at McDonald's?
12 to 16.
And where are they going to park?
So,
If we may, do you want to come to the microphone?
Yeah, I think on parking, I'll let him speak specifically to McDonald's. We are overparked here. After this is all done, I think we're overparked I did the math somewhere. But we are significantly overparked where right now and when we take down, I think it's one thing, and you guys probably have seen it on the site plan, we're taking down roughly 6,300 square feet of space, and we're putting in 3,800 square feet of space, so we're taking down the density of the center. The center will be the least dense it's been since it was built. We're taking down GLA, 9,200 square feet between these two tenants. McDonald's is 3,850. If you want to include the Dutch Bros, that's 905 square feet. So this center is getting less dense. We are overparked. In terms of where his employees park, I'll let him hit on specifically on that. But just in terms of the overall parking for the center, where there's cross access rights, we are overparked.
So with regard to employees and such, there's 2 points I'd like to make. The typical McDonald's employs a crew of about 85. That brings jobs to the neighborhood. One of the most interesting facts, if you look in the history of McDonald's, at one time, I believe it was 6 years ago, 1 in 12 people had started their careers at McDonald's. And that includes high school kids and the such. So typically a shift will have upwards of 12 people, that's it at its peak. And of those, 6 to 8 will be parking on site. That's the typical numbers for those. So anyway, just 2 points to consider.
Can I ask you a question? There's been a lot of talk about the delivery trucks. Where are the, I'm having a hard time understanding, where do the delivery trucks come now for the stores that are there?
All the stores, or the stores that are there, they would load in the, well, I guess I got to get to the site plan if we have one that has the existing. They load all in the back there, so their trash and their loading is all in the rear, closer than.
And that's where the McDonald's delivery would be?
Yeah, it'd actually be pushed further away from the neighbors in the back there.
Yeah, and on that note, a couple things. The average McDonald's gets 3 deliveries a week, and those deliveries occur in less than 30 minutes typically.
And is there a time limit on when they can come?
We would consider that. Typically, our deliveries range from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We avoid the morning and the evening.
Yeah. My comments is I visit this plaza a lot. I go to Rite Aid a lot because I'm old, and you got to have a lot of prescriptions when you get old.
I'm right there with you.
But I notice now that they've got the parking kind of closed off there while they're doing the Dutch Brothers construction. They're still parking, but it's amazing how the transformation of this thing has happened over the last few years, because that place used to be pretty dead. When what was the store that was in there before Sprout? Big Lots. I mean, you'd go by there, that place was pretty dead. And now to see this thing all of a sudden like explode, and you can see that it's thriving. It's really thriving, which is good. I mean, you want to see the businesses do well. I'm just really concerned that we just overextend this corner, and we got so much there that it becomes overburdened. That's my biggest concern. Is I know how busy it is there, and I understand the concerns of the residents because I go by there a lot. The one thing I was kind of uneducated, I guess, on is I didn't realize high school kids go out to lunch in their cars and go to I didn't realize they do that. I certainly couldn't do that when I went to high school, so it must be a little different. But are they going to the other McDonald's now, the one down on Brookhurst? Is there a lot of them going down there? Yeah. Are they? Yeah. I was curious about that because I wasn't aware that was a big thing with the high school kids, but I can understand that. But I guarantee if we had a whole house full of kids here, they probably wouldn't all be against it. I would imagine, because that would be very convenient for them. But I understand the other congestion situations that you talk about. There are a lot of concerns there, and I'm a very pro-businessman, and a lot of you brought up the fact that we are representing the community, you citizens, and we are. We're also here representing the city, and we're trying to make the best decisions for businesses from income standpoint. We're trying to balance it out, but you're absolutely right. We are here to look out for what's best for the residents and for the city at the same time. So that was a good point that was made.
Mr. Lopez?
I understand the congestion. I live in that neighborhood as well, and I always have the same problems as everybody else, turning left out of Bay to get onto Talbert. I drove my daughter and my son to Courageous every day for the longest time, and there is congestion, but it's during school time, usually. And then you get a period of nothing, and then when people get off of work, then you get congestion again. Now, as for the high schoolers, I didn't know that they get, how much time to get, 2 hours for lunch? Because I can't understand it, because I only get 30 minutes for lunch myself, and I just can't imagine a bunch of kids rushing to McDonald's because I had to stay on campus. And I know my son wouldn't go because he likes getting the free lunch over at the high school. He gets a free lunch every day plus whatever we feed him. And you know, I do see there are benefits, believe it or not, to this. The fact that, like Commissioner Osborne said, the center, the village shopping center is thriving. It's getting busy. It's nice to see that. It hasn't been that way. You know, yeah, I miss the old stores. I miss Toy City. How many of you remember Toy City? Yeah, I miss that, but things change. I like, now Chair Hassan brought up the fact that is it possible to put a right turn or right turn only sign. I think that's a good idea. That would be a good idea. That might be a consideration, something to look into. Also, someone brought up the fact, is it possible to put keep clear? I don't know what the cost or the study in that would be, but that might be nice to put right there at the end of Bay. You know, that's a possibility. People actually do adhere to that. You know, I drive from Santa Ana to Fountain Valley back and forth every day, and there's traffic everywhere, no matter what. It doesn't matter what city you're in, whether you're in Huntington Beach, whether you're in Fountain Valley, Santa Ana, there's always traffic. But I do look forward when I see that do not block. I think that's great. That might be a consideration as well. I really commend you for the fact that you keep trying to build up that center and make it better. And, you know, who knows? Maybe somebody goes and gets a Big Mac and realizes there's a Dollar Tree and they want to go and chop over a Dollar Tree after they eat because, hey, I didn't know that was there. Or, hey, there's a Cleaners. You know, we want our community to thrive. Yes, we're here for both sides, the city and the public, and we try to make the best decisions we can. That's all I got.
Can I chime in on one thing? 'Cause I know we've talked about current tenants, and kind of the way when I think about this, right, is McDonald's came to us, we kind of went back and forth, how do we make this work? Then it had to go to Sprouts, right? Sprouts has approval rights as the anchor tenant here. It goes through Sprouts' lens. And Sprouts is in full support of this project. And they had full disapproval rights. If they were in an agreement with McDonald's or the site plan or the traffic or the flow within the center, they could have bonked it for no reason. They didn't have to have some real reason to bonk the project. So Sprouts has been an approval project. And then we went to the neighbors, obviously, we've kind of beaten to death. We had 2 meetings and got to know a lot of them and try to be good partners here. It's what at the community outreach meetings, it's just like what I said there. It's like you put residential and commercial together, there's going to be friction, right? Both sides, we all understand that. You try to be transparent. They have my cell phone number. If there's a truck in the back, this is like Monday morning, and got like, hey, there's a truck idling back here. I'm calling property management. We're talking to Sprouts to make sure they adhere to the rules that are in the conditions of approval, right? So we're trying to be active neighbors here. In terms of the smaller tenants, and I know people that whether they go to play football at Cal. I played football at Cal. Cal football player Mike Safel lived right behind the center. He said, I went to Michi Pizza growing up. And the cool thing is, my first project when we took over the center was to go to those existing tenants, most of who were on month-to-month leases, who can't invest in their business because on a month-to-month, if they could be out in 60 days, they're not going to reinvest back in their center, and say, hey, we want to extend you guys on 10-year leases. We've extended 7 tenants on either 7 or 10-year leases there. Gave them money to reinvest back into their stores. And today, actually on my way here, the eyebrow threading place reaches out and says, hey, I expire in 25. I want to extend. So we're trying to do things right way. A good center, and this is what we specialize in, is going in neighborhood centers with neighbors around us, grocery-anchored centers, centers that you get your prescriptions from. You go to McDonald's, you go to Sprouts, you go to Dollar Tree. That's like what we do. We don't do big box centers. We don't do power centers. This is our specialty. And it's to deal with stuff like this, right? We come in here. We got to go to Sprouts approval. We got to go to neighbors. We hope to bring a great project to revitalize corners like we hopefully have done here and will continue to do. So we appreciate it, but just want to know the layers this has gone through, the care we've taken with those tenants that a lot of people here have shopped at for the last 40 years to make sure they stay in place. They have a center they can thrive in. McDonald's isn't going to come in and take out any of our existing tenants. We've thought through that, right? There's not a burger tenant there. There's not a breakfast tenant at our center. Dutch Bros and McDonald's coexist. They want each other in the center. Same with Sprouts and McDonald's. So I'm here for any questions, but just kind of layers of how this has gone through on our own.
One thing I did forget to mention, I'm definitely against the 24 hours, though. I mean, I would rather align it with Dutch Brothers the same hours if possible. 24 hours just seems a little much.
Yeah, we would align with Dutch Brothers hours if that's a condition of approval. We would agree to that tonight. So can I bring up 2 other items that have been brought up during this. I promise I'll be quick. The first is decibel levels from the drive-through. So our drive-through at night is set such that it exceeds ambient noise by 15 decibels. So for example, if let's just say ambient noise is 40 decibels, our speaker will top out at 55 decibels. At the distance to the first house, which is 76 feet, our decibel level will be less than 15 decibels. That's less than the noise that we have in this room with none of us talking. So I do want to say that we did take that into consideration, and we are using an intercom system where I believe we have it set for after 6 p.m. It drops to 15 decibels over ambient. So that's one consideration. The second one that was brought up was smell. We actually have changed our exhaust fans. They are now Green Heck Evergreen exhaust fans. What they do is they actually shoot vertically, and the smell, the actual remnants of the fan is contained within our building envelope. So if you look at our parapet, it will be contained in that area. If you've been to a McDonald's that's been built within the last year, I will tell you the smell that is associated with French fries and such no longer exists in the parking lot of McDonald's. So,
can you explain that again?
Yeah,
is it like a strobic fan that just shoots it straight up?
It shoots it straight up within our parapet, and it basically tops out on the envelope of our building. So it's a new thing that we've done over the last, I believe, is it the last year and a half?
Yeah, it's within about 2 years.
Yeah, and it's a new filtering system as well.
So you're talking about upblast?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I mean,
couldn't think of that word. I was trying to do that.
What I'm used to though with upblast is the idea is to send it up higher, so that solution to pollution is dilution. So you send it up higher, and then
it actually fades within the envelope of our building.
It goes straight up and comes back down?
Yes.
Even though it's windy?
Well,
even though we have the coastal breeze all the time?
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that it will do
Santa Ana
completely with that, but I will tell you that the smell associated with McDonald's, if you go to one that's been recently built, it's a much different experience.
I guess it depends on location, right?
If
you're on the downwind side of a building, you're not going to it's going to go up and come straight down. But
right. If there is, yes.
Where yours is sitting, it's going to be shooting straight from the ocean, and it's not going to go up and go back down. Right?
Well, I think it'll be a much better experience or situation than you've seen in the past, just based on the filtering system.
Filtering is one thing, but as far as shooting it up, that's filtering
I will tell you, I've been to them recently and here in the area, and they're much better. Thank you.
So yeah, I have a couple comments, I guess, and I guess, as far as this location, and I think that's what a lot of the concerns are, is fine at a McDonald's in the city, but maybe this isn't the right location for a variety of reasons. When you look at the existing, I guess Commissioner Spears, you mentioned, the majority of the fast food restaurants are on Brookhurst. And when you think about the Brookhurst locations, it's on Brookhurst. And so and usually in shopping centers, and it's close to Brookhurst. So it's really not near any residential areas, not anything as close as this. Idling cars, I don't know what your fans are going to do for the idling cars. And I personally, I'd like to, whenever I go to In-N-Out, I don't go to McDonald's since I watched the Founder movie. But anyways, I always park. I park and I walk in, because it's not good for the environment. I'm sorry, and the whole drive-through thing is it's not good. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for residences that are right next to that area. And those idling cars are right at the back. Unfortunately, I don't think it's, that's where you have to put them. You can't put them at the front and get them farther from, at least Dutch Brothers, it's out on, it's way out. It's farther from the residences than this. And that's, that if I backed up to that area, I'd have a concern. And remember, I mean, it's even if it's not a 24-hour, it's even if it's, 5:30 or 6 till 11, you're still going to have cars probably continuously. However, somebody do the math, however many hours that is, every single day there's going to be cars there idling and with that exhaust going right into those people's backyards.
Half the cars are going to be Teslas.
When that happens, then we have a different different discussion. But I don't think they're half yet. And if you notice, I mean, it is, we've got the ocean, and so the predominant breeze is from the west, so it's going to be blowing straight to those residences right there. So I mean, if I lived there, I would have a concern about that. And again, it's the number of cars, and it's continuous. It's every day. And again, as opposed to where you have the drive-throughs out on Brookhurst, it's solution to pollution is dilution. So the farther you are away, and if you're on Brookhurst, even if you're out on Magnolia where Dutch Brothers is, you've got time for that exhaust to dissipate. Here there just isn't. And again, with the prevailing winds, it's going to be going right into those neighbors. If it was approved, definitely we would need to reduce the operating hours, and I think that's been discussed about maybe matching Dutch Brothers. I think traffic, traffic is bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be worse because all those cars that weren't on Talbot before, the cars that are on Talbot now are going because they're going home or they're going somewhere. But now you're going to add, and same on Magnolia, and now you're going to add all these people coming to McDonald's and to Dutch Brothers. And there's only more and more being built in Huntington Beach that are all going to be coming across Talbot. So the traffic's only getting worse. We all know that. Again, if we did this, I mean, I think making the parking lot one-way traffic only, I think could help at least make that eastern driveway usable. I think that would help a little, but just I think it's maybe the McDonald's is good for the city. It's good revenue, but just not the right location. And I guess one other thing, the other thing that we did get a letter, we got an email from some people just bringing up there's not the healthiest food. And you do have a lot of kids with the middle schools and the high schools. And I know it's not your fault. You're just providing it, and, it's there they make the choice whether to eat it or not. But when the middle schoolers on Thursday half days right now they go to Subway and they go to Amici's, and now instead they can go to McDonald's, and they will because it's good fried food, right? Well, good, and that it tastes good. So I think that is another consideration, that it's out on Brookhurst, again, there aren't any schools right there that kids are able to walk to it. So again, McDonald's, fine, good in the city, but this location doesn't seem the best.
Thank you. And as much as we appreciate the property owner, how much they improved the plaza, this is a bold move, really, and I'm not here to put any sticks in the wheels, but I don't think the homework is completely done. There's a lot of points raised, legitimate points raised by the residents here, and I jotted some that I think we need to see more on this project. And some of these, I don't know if you want to jot them down. There's too many streets that were mentioned by the neighbors, and I don't know where they are exactly and which one perpendiculars as a cul-de-sac on Talbot, which one exit on Talbot right lane only, which one can make left turn. I like to see the traffic, at least from Cashew to Magnolia, with all these streets, names, and the island of Talbot, so that we know the circulation, because this will have some impact on these exits that exit from the north towards Talbot, if that's possible. I like to see also signage of the property and the parking lot, as I mentioned, the right turn only, on that exit. I like to see on the plan. Between you and me, I've been living here for 30 years, and I was the contracts manager on the 405 project. I ate in every fast food restaurant around me. And there was many fast food restaurants, drive-in restaurants, that had to remodel their parking configuration, because all these traffic studies are empirical, and they change after you build it. Look at now Chick-fil-A at MacArthur and Bristol. It's closed for about, 4 or 5 months at a tremendous cost, because it didn't work. The traffic was all on MacArthur. Many of the in and out, as you know. So it's not unusual for no matter what you study, it still doesn't work. So for that reason, I also recommend that if the project is approved, re-evaluation after 6 months to see the impacts, whether we did the right choice or some modifications need to be done. I like to see, one of the gentlemen said the traffic modeling is not complete. It was made only for the breakfast and lunch, but not for dinner. Dinner could be higher peak than the lunch. I like to see a complete traffic study. As far as the emissions and the idling trucks, I like to see if there's some environmental expert from AQMD or private consultants who can make some air studies based on the traffic generated, the trucks delivery, and I'd like to see some regulations on the idling of, any truck making delivery, they have to shut down their engine. Because I know diesel engines, they love to keep it running, stays warm, better for the engine. We need to regulate that. I like to see, we didn't see landscape of the property. Is there possibility that some cypress trees, high trees can be planted on the right side of the eastern alley in front of, to cover this, the residential? If it's possibility, I'm not saying it must be done, but it will alleviate of a lot of these noxious fumes from the trucks and the cars. And, it is a sound barrier. They are not expensive cypress trees, and they grow high, and they are green all year, things like that. So hours of operation, I think we resolved it almost with the gentleman agreeing to the Dutch coffee. So from that perspective, with all these things are still missing, I say the homework is not done. So I'm filing a motion to shelf it until we receive another proposal for another vote, so that we don't want any project to fail. We want to encourage businesses. We want to encourage the income to the project. And these things that I suggested are not time-consuming. They can be done because I know you have your own consultant. You studied almost everything. It's just some modification coming back to the city and this. That's my motion, is now to shelf it for the second proposal that will address these points that I raised, so that we don't fail. We want to mitigate. We want to address every point that the residents raised, which are legitimate. And I don't feel that the homework is fully complete. But we encourage you to do what will improve the situation so that it alleviates the concerns of the residents. That's my motion.
And I'll second.
If I may interject real quick. So I would like to ask the applicant in this case, sometimes we prefer a decision, and then they can appeal that to city council. Sometimes they believe if they can address the issues, they come back to you. And so I think, because they are entitled to a decision within a certain amount of time per state law, and so I think we need to defer to them to see whether or not they would request a decision tonight, or if they're willing to come back and at a date certain, and with a updated proposal. So I think.
Did we consume all the time that we have to review such projects?
I would defer to them. I don't know. I have to look at the.
You submitted in May.
Yeah.
It's been 7 months.
It's been, yeah, I mean, it's running up against the time clock that we would normally.
We
take
are,
for a
okay.
public- So it's, they may request a decision, or they may request a continuance. We can.
Up to you guys then. If you want us to vote, we'll vote. But you're taking a risk.
I would agree to a continuance. I would agree to a continuance.
They would be, so the applicant would be open to continuance. Either you would continue to a date certain, or if not, then we would renotice the item when it was ready to come back before you.
I have a quick question. When is Dutch Brothers supposed to be done?
I don't
Any idea?
I don't have a timeline on their construction completion at this
They're,
point.
they're moving pretty quick.
They're making
Yeah.
good
They don't
progress.
have like they don't have a opening date at this point. I mean, they're looking at, hey, they're done in first quarter with construction, and then they hand over their operations team. So I don't have a full date for you, and I don't want to give a date and then have them miss it.
Yeah, and miss it.
But they're obviously, you guys can see, moving along pretty quick.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to just remind residents of too is something's going to go in this spot, whether it's a McDonald's or not. The landlord has responsibility to fill that spot up with some type of business. So there's going to be some type of traffic or something that, depending on what, if this doesn't get approved, whatever he decides to put in there. So there's going to be something there. So you can be assured of that. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
McDonald's without a drive-through, that's an option.
So when do you think you can come back with these? I don't know whether you.
I would hope within the next 30 to 60 days.
When's the next one for the holidays? Adjust everything.
So maybe we continue it to the first meeting in February.
Is there one in January? Is there? I don't know what the holidays have to adjust.
The second, so that'd be January 10th. January 10th, 24th.
24th is the one after that?
When do we have to have our information?
So this is something we need to talk to offline. Either we would continue it to January 24th, or I think safer is probably first meeting in February. That would give us time to get through these issues, but with the holidays.
Yeah, you need it about 2 weeks before our meeting.
Yeah.
The information. So let's make it February. This way they'll have a chance to do, because now holidays might be some tough time to get all these studies. I don't know whether you wrote what I said, but you got the idea.
Should we go through so we're clear on what we're asking for? Or you got
I think there was a good amount of public testimony. I think it's all recorded, and so I think we can go back and
I can give
review
you
the
a copy.
tape if you
I
like,
can
or
give
give
you
me
a
your
copy of
comments.
this. So
But I think the motion, if you want to revise it, would be to continue the item to February 14th.
that's my motion. With the approval of the owner, with the approval of the owner, that he will resubmit by January, anytime, and then we will meet first week of February to discuss what you have submitted. Hopefully, it will mitigate the issue and things move smoother. Okay, so that's my motion. Who's second?
You said Richard.
I second it.
Okay, let's vote.
I can't.
Can't vote. Okay, let's do it the old way.
For some reason, my screen.
Omar,
I can take a voice vote.
take the votes.
Commissioner Esker,
Yes.
Commissioner Spear,
Yes.
Commissioner Osborne,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Saad.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.